All right. Welcome, everybody, to Information Exchange 2026. Officially, we are officially kicking off what is a very robust series of both virtual sessions all week and our live conference next week. So we got a lot of content to cover. As we get some more people joining in here, where it looks like we're at 47 people and counting, so that's exciting. Just a couple of logistical things regarding the virtual sessions in general. Number one, they are recorded and they are being transcribed. So at the end of our virtual series, everyone will receive copies of the content that's been recorded and transcribed throughout the event. In addition, this is the first of 16 sessions. So while this serves as both our Welcome to Information Exchange 2026 as well as our kickoff, we encourage everyone to please take another look at the schedule overall throughout the event and all week long, and make sure to come back and join us for additional sessions. We have lots of different people joining us from BCC. We have some strategic partners who are presenting as well, and it's a very exciting time. There's a lot of content that's going to be covered. Everybody who's joining us, you are muted and you are without camera, so please be mindful of that. We have our chat and our Q&A open, and please submit any questions you might have throughout the presentation today in either the chat or the Q&A, and we have an open question forum at the end of our session, and we'll be going through that, the questions one at a time and answering them to the best of our ability. Before we dive in, I want to pass it over to our presenters today, starting with Christopher O'Brien.
Hello there. Welcome, everybody. I see that we've got some old friends and some new friends, so welcome to a lot of people on the call. Overall, I see some names that we've worked with over the years, from Dave to Dean, and our friend Glenn is on, Frank is on, whole bunch of people. So we welcome. I'm the president of BCC Software, have been for the last 5 years, and pretty excited about this session to talk to you about what we see coming and where we're going. Should I pass it over to Mr. Lean?
Yep, Chris Lean, over to you.
All right, good morning, everyone. I'm Chris Lean, Executive Vice President of Postal Affairs for BCC Software, and in that role, I'm representing you. I bring your voice to the Postal Service and the mailing industry, and I leverage my over 30 years of experience in the mailing industry as well to provide guidance to the Postal Service, our postal partners, as we emerge and continue to move forward. So I'm looking forward to sharing with you today some updates on the industry so that you're aware of what's coming out, because we are working shoulder to shoulder, and that's how we're going to help to make mail great. I'll now pass it over to Adam Kester.
Yeah, hi everybody. Thanks, Chris. My name is Adam Kester. I'm the Director of Product Management here at BCC Software, which means that I get to oversee all of our product managers, ultimately responsible for our strategy of our product roadmap as we move forward at a very high level. We'll be talking through some of those roadmap decisions today, and getting some of that stuff out in front of you where we want to be in the very long term in our 3 to 5 year plan, and then also digging into some of our individual pieces as we move forward throughout the sessions. And I'll pass it to Victor Pinkov.
Thank you, Adam. My name is Victor Pininkoff. I am a Senior Director of Software Engineering here at BCC. I've been here for almost 6.5 years. I get the fun technical job and bringing the solutions to in the various forms, desktop, SaaS, as well as responsible for the quality of the applications. And I'm very excited that you're able to join us.
Thank you guys.
Brandon, back to you.
Yeah, thank you guys for introducing yourselves. So this is our very first session, and we're really setting the stage for what's to come between now and 2028. So before we dive in, I have a short poll for everybody. Get that launched for you. And really what we want to gauge here is, for those of us who are on this session today, we want to know what challenges you're facing in your organization. This is a ranked poll. So when we launch the poll, you can click up or down and rank these 4 different items in order of what's most challenging that you're facing right now, or what you anticipate to be facing, versus the least challenging. So give me 1 second and let me launch this. And it should pop up on your screens shortly. So again, you can click and drag on the left-hand side of the left-hand side. And when you're finished, just hit submit. So far, we got some USPS regulations is in the lead. I mean, that's expected. All I know businesses are experiencing challenges across the board with regard to the changing landscape of USPS. Christine will be talking a little bit more later in this session about the industry at large and the strategy to stay ahead of it. We'll give it one more minute. Get those responses in. All right. So yeah, so we're gonna proceed here. Christopher, I'm gonna pass it back to you.
You
We'll
showing
dive right in.
results? Are you showing results or not showing results?
Yep, the results should appear in chat over there on the right-hand side in chat. Constant changes in USPS regulations was number 1, followed by rising costs. They represented the bulk of the lead.
Perfect. Not a surprise, and thanks everybody for responding. So let me tell you a little bit about what we've been doing, what research we've been doing, and where we're heading. And Chris will talk to you a little bit as well about making sure that we're aligned to where the USPS is going, which is not an easy task to follow. Okay, just a couple of very informal discussion points with you. Our focus, based on what we hear from you, is that the items that we're going to be covering to help with this journey through the crazy USPS world. So 3 categories. First of all, we've got to simplify and efficient. We start that again. My first day of my new tongue. Our workflow efficiencies now, people tell us all the time, the complexity of trying to get work out is becoming unbearing, plus the risk of security is a top item for us. The workflow is not only within running your mail, but from your other software vendors. How many steps are you now doing in preparing the mail? And the big one, of course, is accountability, which leads to, can I have access and visibility to the mail that I'm doing? These are kind of top of the pyramid topics that we'll be covering as we go through the presentation today. So keep going, Brandon. Now, the first slide talked about operational efficiencies. How do we kind of get to where we're going? And we have our challenges with operational efficiencies. But the good news is there's gold in them there hills. There are things going on in our marketplace right now that we believe are probably the biggest opportunities in the last decade for those that are now involved in mail, especially in marketing mail. It is now cool again to do direct mail. It's powerful to do direct mail. Second thing is, there are now availabilities to create data from that direct mail. There are companies that want that. Many companies that didn't really use direct mail before now are realizing it's a hole in their digital dashboard that plugs it so nicely. But you got to have the data, you got to have the tracking capabilities, but you also have to be able to talk the talk in terms of what it does. And then the other one is there's a lot of work being done, and we've got examples of all 3 of these, of how can we combine maybe our software with others for smoother integration to simplify your workflows. Now, what I want to make sure you understand is this is not a futuristic webinar. This is not, hey, we got some cool things coming, look out for 2028. No. What we're here to talk about is there are people on this journey already. So go to the next slide, Brandon. We're going to talk about a little bit about those that are already taking advantage of direct mail. Only 40% of all of direct mail takes advantage of the USPS promotions and of informed delivery. but it's only being done by less than 20% of the mailers. And even those that are taking advantage of it are doing it to bring a value price to their customer and are not likely getting a higher rate for the ROI they're creating for the customer. We also have customers, of course, that are doing a super job on creating data. There are companies now that either partner with somebody else or they do it themselves. They're taking the data from the direct mail and feeding it back into a digital dashboard. And we started that process over a year ago with Mindfire on the higher level. There are also others that are already integrated our software with other software suppliers to make it seamless transition to do postal automation. So our job today on this webinar is to figure out how can we help our over 5,500 customers, everybody to participate at the pace you want. So keep going, Brandon. So bear in mind, we've learned a little bit the hard way. I think we all raced in the beginning. Chris Lean and I had a lot of conversations about, we've got to get people to jump on board. You've got to get this data. You've got to get a dashboard together. And by the way, you've told us loud and clear that everybody's at a different place. Everybody's not ready to do a full dashboard of omni-channel. Every sales organization that our customers have are not ready to even talk about an ROI for direct mail. They're still focused on price. So this is not everybody needs to sprint there and be here in the next 6 months. However, we're going to now show all our customers what the path is and figure out what's the right pace to get you deeper into the game, past the efficiency roadblocks, and more into the gold in them their hills, because it is there. So with that, we're going to focus on a couple strategic paths for us. And Brandon, if you can move forward. So here's what's on the board for us right now that we've already started, and we've already made investments. We are moving our desktops offer to the cloud. And I'm going to have Victor talk to you about that, of why we're doing it and the benefits of doing that. Adam's going to talk to you about product alignment. Chris is going to tell you, based on the last rate case, things are not getting easier. I think it was the most difficult rate case we've had in the last decade on how deep we went into the software. And we don't control the post office. We recommend. They don't always listen, but we can't wait to simplify the process. So we have to do some internal alignment so we can focus on less items that are really good, not a whole table full of products. Adam will talk to you about that. I'll talk to you about our offers already out there. We have many customers now that are already using our partners, your partners, to deliver our software, and even customers that we went to that we've connected to one of their suppliers to make it easier to do business with us. And then we'll kind of close with a product that's going to be announced actually later today, if I'm right, Brandon, that we've been waiting for, that really is going to help people make dealing with USPS and promotions and informed delivery really simple and powerful. So with that, I believe, Brandon, I'm going to pass it over to Chris Lean. He's got his finger on the pulse of the USPS, especially, of course, heading up the National Postal Forum for the last couple of years. He knows what's going on in the world of USPS. And Chris, could you give him a little update?
All right. Thank you, Christopher. And again, good morning, everyone. I'm really excited to share with you some of the latest of what we've heard. In fact, I was in Washington, D.C. last week, along with Adam Kester, for the Mailers Technical Advisory Committee meetings. And it was a very interesting conversation there. Christopher, you're spot on. The July price change that we just rolled out was the most significant change, in my opinion, since really the late 90s, since reclassification, for those of you that have been in the industry as long as I have. So it was quite a significant structural change, as well as a price increase, of course. But that's what I want to focus on first, is pricing. So the Postal Service needs to continue to raise revenue. One of the things the Postmaster General Dave Steiner shared with us at MTAC is that unless he's told otherwise, he has to focus on revenue, and that's going to be an important lever he's going to take advantage of. But what he wants to do, and what they've asked, is to shift the price change to January. move it away from that July timeframe and get it back into the January timeframe, which I believe where most of the industry wants to go. And if he's approved to do that by the Regulatory Commission, he would only change prices in January going forward with that. January 27, we'd be looking at about a 4.4% total price increase, with about half of that, a little more than half of that, being that density adder. So the Postal Service will continue to use those density adders on top of the Consumer Price Index urban rate that they have. So you'd be looking at about a 4.4% increase in January, but then it would be indexed every January thereafter. They've also hinted to us that they don't expect any major changes with the January price change either, again, if it's approved. So I know prices have been a challenge, but you know what? We need to continue to work with the Postal Service, and more importantly, as I work with the industry associations, help Congress understand that they need to do something too. The Postal Service needs help, and Congress needs to step up and pay attention to the industry for us to be able to explain our story. It's a public-private partnership, folks, and that's an important thing that we are working to educate people in Congress so that they can understand that and provide some assistance to the Postal Service, which would require legislative changes for them to reduce their operating expenses. While we're doing that, though, the Postal Service is also focusing on the purpose of the piece, adding value to the mail. And that's what these promotions are all about. And you've heard us talking about these for the last couple of years. And Christopher is right. Not enough people are taking advantage of this. Folks, I know you are producing pieces that would qualify for this. And that's why we're excited to continue to provide guidance to our customers. In fact, the Postal Service just released 3 of the guidebooks for the 2027 promotions. They've improved the opportunity for the tactile, sensory, and interactive, or the TSI promotions. They've improved things for the impact, for the integration of digital. Because remember, physical and digital work better together. If you were in Phoenix at the Postal Forum, you heard me say phygital. That's a real thing, and people are taking advantage of it. And of course, we've really got our eyes on the direct mail discovery, 40% discount for our customers, 5% to the mail service provider. So stay tuned, folks. We're going to continue to focus in on the purpose of the piece, adding value and demonstrating the return on investment. And finally, I do want to touch on APIs and emerging technology. We have been working closely with our postal partners on bringing new technology to the industry. And one of the tools that they're planning on implementing on October 4th is NCOA Plus. You may have heard about this. NCOA Plus is what I would call a surgical tool to do very specific address quality. We see NCOA Plus as an important add-on to the NCOA Link process that we're currently providing. NCOA Plus doesn't replace NCOA Link, it enhances it. It gives us another tool in the toolbox to strategically, transactionally correct addresses, and it opens up an opportunity for us to explore and expand address quality to more customers so that you're able to provide additional value. We need to make sure that every mail piece counts, that we're getting it tracked and delivered, and reduce that undeliverable as addressed mail. So we're going to focus on address quality. We're going to leverage some of the beyond the mail data sets that Earl Johnson Jr. at the Postal Service is going to be talking about at our live information exchange. So stay tuned. New data, new technology, new APIs that are going to improve your business, and it's all about leveraging some of that cloud technology. And that's where we're going to go next. I'm going to turn it over to my good friend, Victor Panikov, who is our Senior Director of Software Engineering here at BCC Software. Victor, tell us a little bit about our cloud strategy.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Christopher. Appreciate that. BCC Cloud, I'm going to start, and I don't know, Brendan, let's move on to the next slide as to what it is. It's a cloud native platform delivered to you as well as your customers via web browser or modern API interfaces. It embraces containerization, native cloud services, enhanced security to deliver the best-in-class software to you and your organization. So why and how does that help you? First, I'm going to start with the always current. Christopher mentioned the ongoing complexities with regulatory cycles. So with our cloud native platform, your team always works on the latest version of the software. There's no downloads, installations, upgrade projects, or version compatibility issues to manage. New features, compliance updates, performance improvements, and security enhancements are delivered automatically, allowing your users to focus on their work instead of maintaining the software. The speed of data processing scale. In the desktop environment, performance is constrained by PCs, servers you own. In a cloud-native platform, processing capacity scales on demand. Large jobs that might overwhelm local infrastructure can leverage enterprise-grade cloud resources, helping to complete your work faster without requiring you to purchase, maintain, or upgrade your software. This becomes especially important during the peak mailing seasons. Let's move on to where we are in this process. And the next slide. So as it's been mentioned by Christopher, we have been working on this already. It's been an over a year engagement for us. Many elements such as CAS and COA, sortation, multi-tenancy processing have all been in place or are actively being worked on. And as we continue expanding the feature set, the goal is to deliver some limited beta availability by the end of 2026. 2027 is really when we are going general availability. I believe that timeline is set to be Q2 of next year. A lot of the features that you see in the Mail Manager, bulk mailer will be available at that time and for you to consume and take advantage of. And 2028 is really about refinement, maturing the solution, taking your feedback, embracing it, and further refining the feature functionality, including adding some of the post pre-sort functionality into this solution. With that, I'm going to transition it back to you, Brendan.
And I am actually going to pass this over to Adam so he can elaborate a little bit about what the future product alignment looks like for our product suite.
Yeah, thank you, Brendan. As Christopher mentioned at the beginning, there's a changing landscape in front of us, and BCC is no stranger to that. If you've been a long-term customer of BCC or one of the companies that has recently merged or been purchased by BCC, you've seen a lot of these things coming through our organization as well as I'm sure in the landscape around you. Because of that, we have a challenge in front of us, and that is multiplied over the decades of experience that we have here, as well as the decades of software products that we currently maintain. So right now we are living in an environment where we have a lot of different legacy platforms and engines that really our goal for the future to be able to maintain the best of the best is to consolidate our efforts into a single platform, a single engine. That doesn't mean the products themselves will be going away, though in some cases they will. But really our goal is to maximize the efficacy of our development teams while minimizing the impact across the board for all of our products. So if you, like I said, if you've been with BCC or one of these other products for the last 10 years, even the last 20 years, you've seen a lot of changes coming about. Right now, BCC is maintaining 4 pre-sort engines. That means this last rate case that was the biggest in 2 decades, like Christine mentioned, since the reclassification in the 90s, we had to do that over 4 different engines. We want to simplify that process as well. If you've been on one of our post pre-sorting products, you know there have been efforts there to reduce the product suite that we offer down to a single post pre-sort product. I'll talk a little bit about where we are with that process as well. Probably not as visible to many of you folks, though some of you might have encountered it in the past, is that we do have 2 data services platforms underneath the hood running our different services that we offer. The products there probably won't see a lot of impacts, but the amount of maintenance that we have to do on those platforms ideally will decrease and decrease the complexity that we are looking to maintain on over a long course of our calendars to be reduced there. And then the other thing, if you're using any of our CAS engines, you've probably seen this one already happening. And to this point, we are now down to a single CAS engine, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But we started at 3 of those as well. And Brandon, if you go to the next slide for me there. So again, just a very high-level timeline on that. Where we are right now with 2 of those initiatives, and I'll start with the CAS engine because that one is in the most complete state. We started a few years ago, I believe back in 2023, announcing that we would be trying to get down to a single CAS engine, starting with 3 of them. There was a legacy BCC engine, a postal engine that we distributed as well as the previously Satori, now are referred to as our RCAS engine. That RCAS engine was identified as the most feature-rich, the most stable, and so we started putting that into our products moving forward in the 2024 timeframe with the vast majority of those things, and then finishing up with Mail Manager Full Service and our Data Vault products earlier this year. As with any major project, there's a few bumps in the road, but we have moved forward with a good number of feature improvements, I believe, to close any gaps that we've got there. And we are currently sitting at one CAS engine and look to maintain that single CAS engine for the foreseeable future. We also went through a major effort to consolidate our customers down to a single post pre-sort product. That is our DAT mail product. We do have a few lingering customers on our previous Monticello post pre-sort product. And that's the result of some major feature functionality that still needs to be implemented in DatMail. But our goal with the long term of that product, now that we are down to really a single post pre-sort product and a pathway to get there for those few remaining customers, is to enhance a single product with the most complete features, the most up-to-date system architecture and code base, and the most maintainable set of a code there that we can for the very long term. Again, making a more stable product, a more feature-rich product, and a more maintainable product that can be updated more quickly in the future. Again, with this past rate case, we saw a lot of those impacts of just how complex the post office can make these rate changes. We don't want to be doing that in two places, and we don't want people to have difficulties choosing the right solution. We want to make sure everybody can get to the right solution in the right place as quickly as possible. Moving forward with probably the biggest impact and the biggest project that we'll be undertaking to make sure that we can provide the best software possible is to consolidate our pre-cert engines. Again, this is not going to impact products in terms of what's available, but will be our goal to have a single pre-sort engine underneath the broad spectrum of products that we do offer. So that'll be moving what is today known as our BCC pre-sort product, that engine into all of our products that support pre-sort over the next many months. As you see there, it is a long-term project, and it is roughly a 3 to 5 year plan that we're looking to do this. But if you've been on our BCC product, or maybe you know it in the industry as previously the Postal Soft, originally the Postal Soft engine, that is the most feature-rich, the most we lost the slide there. There we go.
Oops, sorry.
The most feature-rich, most stable, and most maintainable of all of our pre-cert engines. So that's the one that we will be moving into underneath the hoods, and that'll come with a long process of testing and beta testing and confirming that every feature works the way that it's expected to, but that'll get us down to a single pre-cert engine. And as noted, it's probably not as visible for folks, but the data services platform is the last step in that process. We're looking to start that investigation to moving those things over. You'll see benefits like a single path process between all of our data services coming out of that kind of project as well as we move forward with it. And now if you go to the next slide for me, Brandon. So that's a lot of internal work that we have to do. So what's the benefit that we get to put forward to our customers? First of all, with as I mentioned, with the pre-cert engine, we get the most mature, the most feature complete, and the most stable of our pre-cert engines in all of our products. That means earlier deliveries for those products. The BCC pre-cert engine is the one that usually goes out to our customers well ahead of any rate case, and it gives us the ability to really focus our efforts into a single location for those changes. That allows us to deliver that product and that engine to our other products as quickly as possible. Getting our uniform data services accessibility gives us a single platform in the long term that will allow, if folks are using one of our data services and you're looking at a different one, there's not going to be any different process that you need to sign up for those things. Christopher will talk a little bit about some of our vision there as well for some of our data services. The faster regulatory implementation, as I noted, is really one of the main goals here. The faster and the more consolidated we can drive that effort of regulatory changes, the sooner it gets into our customers' hands. That'll be true for the cloud platform that Victor was just talking about, for our on-premise products, and for the engine that is currently behind that BCC pre-sort product, which also drives our Ignite solution as well. So getting that out as quickly as possible allows our MSPs, our mailer customers, to get that in place, to get it tested with your own workflows as quickly as possible, get those estimated prices for post-rate case changes in hand as quickly as possible. And then the other major benefit that obviously is coming to BCC Software, but also to you, our customers, is that if we are focusing less on the regulatory changes, we get to focus more on what kind of innovation we can drive. You'll see a little bit of that in this presentation, as well as our presentation later today about BCC Impact. How can we help drive your business, our business, to work with the post office in the best ways to make the value of the mail come to light for the folks that you send it to. Every day we send out mail pieces, millions and millions of pieces go through the post office. How can you get the best return on your investment for that? And how can BCC help you drive some of that return on investment as well?
Excellent. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Victor. I'm going to pass it over to Christopher as well to recap the product topics that we've just discussed. Christopher.
Actually, Brandon, I'm going to actually ask the audience for a favor, because I look at the list and I see a lot of names I recognize, but Chris Lean has always informed me that based on National Postal Forum, there's a lot of new people coming into this marketplace. So I'm going to ask you two questions. One of them is going to be how long you've been in the industry, and I think Frank and probably Glenn can attest to this. We believe Chris Lean is well over 40, because I think we heard the story when he was 5 years old. He got lost and his parents found him following the mailman in the area, trying to steal more Sears catalogs because he liked the smell of them. But if you can put down how many years you've been in the industry, and the second part of the question we want to ask you is, have you been to any of our information exchanges before? We've been doing them for quite a number of years. I give Brandon a lot of kudos here, because not everybody can make a 3-day trip. So he came up with the idea of let's try and get as many as we could. So let's do a virtual one the week before and a live one next week. So it'd be interesting to know, as we listen more to our customers, as where's everybody coming from. So appreciate the feedback on that. And in closing on this slide, it's been a long time coming. As you heard about the cloud, we of course send software updates out, and of course there's been a lot of them, and then we wait for the phone to ring, because the software is going to be reactive to different installations on what they're connecting to, and that's frustrating for our customers, challenging for our support team, and then of course we've got to be in the ready to adjust everybody's environment. So we're looking forward to everybody just going to get the software they need, and a lot less IT work on our customer side. All right, Brandon.
I want to pause here because we got some good responses to your question, Christopher, coming through chat. A lot of first timers to information exchange, and I'm really grateful to see that, because we try really hard to get as much information out to everyone, and the virtual, as Christopher mentioned, the virtual exercise this year, bit of an experimentation, because we wanted to try and bring that content to a wider group of people. We know not everybody has the luxury of being able to afford travel or take the time away, so we'll definitely be doing them in the future if the demand is there, and I appreciate that feedback very much. There's a lot of first timers and a lot of long timers in the industry too. I'm noticing that.
I like that. Too many years. But a lot of experience on the call.
Absolutely. All right, Chris, we're gonna keep going here. I'm gonna segue over into our integration efforts.
I'm gonna be pretty quick on this one overall, because we've learned. I have to tell you, I went to a kickoff meeting from our parent company, Bluecrest. They took one of their large customers who runs the operation and gave a talk to everybody at Bluecrest about what do they see their needs are. And it's a very big mail service provider. And he said, listen, telling me about postage discounts is not going to rock my world. There's a cost of doing business. I don't like them, but there's not a whole lot I can do about it. But what he said was, if you can figure out how to integrate some things in my workflow to combine processes, I'm all ears. And we're finding that to be the case. So we're happy to say that we're building right now, and it's being led by Sean Anderson, our initiative, in terms of having offers now that we can integrate with either some of our customers' vendors, so it makes it easier. Or two, there are those that are creating marketing communication platforms so that they can combine digital and physical, and they can get the physical part automatically attached. The good news is it's not pie in the sky. That's a purpose, not a Freudian slip there to one of our sponsors. But it is a capability right now that we're doing it. Go to the next slide. We're doing it because we took our product architect reach and connected it with an API. We have partners out there already now that have implemented into their software. And you've heard announcements with Quadient, with Bluecrest, with Ricoh. We've done some work with Xerox, and we're also doing work with Hewlett Packard, to name a few. And that means that we're taking software that you may be getting from another supplier and embedding our software to assimilate the processes. Go to the next slide overall. You'll see a product Infuse as well. This is where our data services are being integrated as well. A lot of this has happened in the marketing communications side, but we have now multiple partners that already have that in their offering, and we're testing more and more each month. By the way, speaking of somebody in the industry that's been here a while, Jim Mann is a name that a lot of you should have heard over the years. He's gone from knowing a lot about this business to being now our business development lead, figuring out where these opportunities can take place. So we look forward to that as well. More about that at our live event and some of the other events we're kicking off, but this has really been a game changer for us as well. Go ahead, Brandon. And of course, a lot of our future, we see it. You heard about Chris Lean talking about the USPS looking for API connections. We're down that same path. We also believe that our customers are looking for more self-serve information. In other words, how many credits do I have left? Could you give me a heads up on that? Could you give me the Dunkin' auto refill when I get down to a certain level of credits? Or Starbucks, if that's your preference. Also, can I get my own credits at Sunday night at 8 o'clock in the evening because I didn't realize I was going to be out? Can I figure out how to get information on how to fix a problem from your knowledge base? So all these self-serve tools attached to AI, you'll see more and more of as we come out with these connections. Okay, go ahead, Brandon.
All right, so before we dive into our third really big topic today, I have a quick poll for the group. It's our last poll, I promise, regarding USPS promotions and form delivery. So I'm going to launch that for everybody. Stand by. And this one's a multiple choice, so you only choose one option, whatever is most applicable to your organization right now. We're going to give it just about a minute and a half to 2 minutes. I know informed delivery and promotions is a big topic right now. USPS promotions are changing constantly. And I know Chris Lean, and if you've been participating on some of our past webinars, you'll know that we've been projecting out the approved promotions calendar for next year as well. So that's already been published. We got 30 responses. We'll give it another 30 seconds or so. Right now, only if requested by customers is in the majority at 47%. Alrighty. Alrighty, so if you look at the chat, you'll see we've got some responses in. 100% of USPS, using 100% of them, 25% of you guys answered that, followed by 43% only if customers requested it. And that's something that's a common scenario that we're seeing. We've seen across the industry, across our customer base. Christopher, I'll pass it back to you to kick us off.
Okay, so another story time for you. When we decided to push more for omni-channel, and we looked for partners out there that our customers were using. One of them was Mindfire. USPS, key personnel, Chris Lean, Mindfire, Ensemble Paper, did some webinars pushing the fact that you got to do omni-channel, you got to do omni-channel. We had probably a few of our largest webinars ever, and we made a big mistake. Because as myself and my friend Chris Lean were saying, do something, do something, do something, omni-channel direct mail, we got feedback from you and a lot of our customers saying, hey guys, wake up, know your audience. So what? And your poll just kind of enforced it. Hey, omni-channel, we're trying to survive. I don't have enough people. The costs are going through the roof. How about you guys stop doing that and go back to the post office and tell them to lower their rates or simplify their processes? I can't get there. And we were humbled, frankly, to realize that, listen, out of our over 5,500 customers, there are some people, there are some big ones that have resources that are buying other places, that are taking advantage. And we said, we need to now go back and figure out, let's do what we do best. Okay, how do we help? And we spent the last year figuring out what's our value proposition. And it's simply this. How do we take and demystify the rules and regulations from the post office and take it out of your hair so we can worry about it and you could do what you do best? And it took us a little while to realize this is a little different. And why this is a little different is because we actually applaud the USPS that the promotions that they are giving out for a discount on mail doesn't actually operationally help them at all. At all. But they're smart enough for the future to say, if I can get people to use some of these features to make direct mail more successful and impactful, then maybe people will do more direct mail. And more mail is what we need. Informed delivery was also a great tool. We think it's fantastic. It's two totally separate processes today. And we said, okay, so let's focus now on our mid to smaller customers. And Chris Lean coined the phrase, there's three things that you really wanted to know is, okay, how do I do this? How do I sell this? And how do I make money at this? And that's where our three driving factors. And we said, okay, and I'm going to oversimplify this because we have a whole nother webinar kicking this off later today. And we'll be live streaming next week. If Brandon, give me a nod. Okay.
We are.
But here's what we did in a nutshell. We said, hey, there's education that's out there. Right now, if you're just doing it, and a lot of our big customers that are doing promotions right now are saying very proudly, we get every discount we can for them. And I asked them, okay, are you getting paid for that? No, we do every discount we can get. I'm like, do you realize that you're improving their rate of return on their mail piece by using these promotions? Are you benefiting from that? No, I just want to give them the best discount available because I want them to give me all their business and take it away from those people out there that still think the more they mail, even if it never gets there, the better for me because I get paid by the piece. They're taking away everybody else's business, saying I'll give you every discount possible, and I'm going to not mail it to them if the address is not correct. We said, okay, listen, we want everybody to win. So the first thing we're going to do is give you a free tool. It's going to have all the promotions updated all the time. It's going to be up to the date on every promotion, every qualification, every turnaround time, and not only what the discount is, but most importantly, if you use this promo, what does the study say is going to lift your open rate of your direct mail piece? Every single one of them. By the way, they're already in our software, on all our software, because we help people plan for their discounts. But we didn't give them an educational tool to say, hey, if I do these 10,000 pieces and I choose informed delivery and I choose tactile and I choose sustainability, right? Not how much is the discount. What's the lift of those three things on your return? Hey, those three things will give you a 3% higher open rate. Is that worthy of it? And we're saying to them, you punch in the numbers. It's an active. We'll keep it up to date. You don't have to. It's free. It's free. If your customer says, yes, I'd like to try it, then you sign up to get BCC Impact. And what we're saying is, do you realize that you're entering all that data into our software already? Let's just take that data and submit it on your behalf to the post office for the approval process. Let's get the manual. I need somebody else to do it for you. And a lot of people in our beta said, this is fabulous. But here's something we learned. We thought that our slightly higher and higher level customers would not be interested because I'm already doing this. Leave that for the little guys. Well, we were wrong again, because what they said to us was, wait a minute, you're going to now do this and submit it on our behalf, but did you say there's actually going to be a screen and a dashboard of all my submissions and the status of them? Yes. Oh, we don't have that now. We wait for the email to come back. We like that a lot. Okay, and then they said, wait a minute, did I hear right? You're going to combine the informed delivery process with the promotions process into one dashboard and one result, because now I've got to do two. We'd like to do that. And then, of course, I'm stealing a little bit of thunder. We also said, listen, we're going to now get this out in the marketplace this year, but by the end of the year, we just want it in our software because you said you want it seamless. Well, if you're already entering all this data by pieces, type of mail in there already, and we're helping you create the IMB piece right at the beginning, then let's just put a button that says, I want this promo, I want this informed delivery, and you hit a button, all the data is being entered anyway, and let's create the automated process. So we're pretty excited about the fact that we thought we'd help the mid to small, but we're finding out there's a need overall. And in the end, what's our value? Can we help demystify what the rules and regulations are so you don't have to worry about keeping up to date? And can we take the manual process away? That's what this is. So if you go forward, I'm not going to go too detailed here because we've got a great team for that, but it's going to be announced later today. Streamlining your promotions, informed delivery integrated. By the way, we also are going to say, hey, for your first sign up, let's give away some free tracking. Because when your customer tries it for the first time and says, I don't know if they're going to approve, okay, you're going to charge me another 10% more for my mailing in the hopes that my return rate goes higher. By the way, partially subsidized by the discounts. What better piece to give them by a tracking report saying, and by the way, here's the data you never got before of how many pieces made it, where they went. We want to make your customer a hero by making that decision to use promotions that you recommended, okay? And then essentially the experience becomes easier for you and your staff to monitor this. Keep going, Adam. So right now, if you're doing them, and by the way, 47% of you said, I only do this when the customer demands it, which means, by the way, you're not getting more money for your job. You're begrudging the fact that you've got to do the extra work so they can get a discount. That's what our customer says. Why would I do this if I do the work and they get the discount? Well, you're right. But you're creating a value here that you can easily walk them through, but you're going to combine these three things. I'm going to take promotions, I'm going to take informed delivery, I'm going to take tracking and put it into one process. And you're going to look very good to your customers to doing that. And we're pretty excited that you'll meet Kate later. Highly energetic, coming from Lob, who's been our product lead on this. And she's been talking to a lot of you about what makes this work. Okay, keep going, Brandon. So We're launching today. We're launching the product. You're going to hear about it today. You're going to hear about it at Info Exchange. There's going to be some promotions tied to the launch. We expect that we're going to put it into our software so that it could be automatically now just touch a button and not only get the discounts, you're going to see them, but the processing will begin as well. And then, of course, we expect that we want to be able to consolidate the data for you. So either you can give it to a partner that can do the data analysis for your customer. Some of you are using them today. Or maybe you want your own dashboard to be able to give to your customer and saying, here, take this, add it to your digital, and you work directly with them. Because we realize this, everybody is different from our customers on how they want to supply value to the customers, how much they want to take on themselves, how much they don't. So you can go a little or you can go a lot. But the next 6 months will be very powerful for those that want to go fast to get them pretty much automated in the process. Okay, Brandon.
So just our wrap up, we want to emphasize how our framework overall, you've heard a lot today about how our framework overall is evolving, how it's changing, where we're listening to our customer base to help guide a lot of that product development. Christopher, Chrisline, Adam, and Victor, do you have any last comments regarding all the content that we've covered today?
They've heard enough of me.
Okay. Chris, can you just wrap us up regarding where the industry is going and take us home?
Yeah, thanks. So, as I said in the beginning, right, there's not a lot we can directly do with regards to the Postal Service price increases or governance or Congress or anything like that. I mean, indirectly, we're going to continue to try and help educate and move things along. But what we can do is take advantage of this emerging technology. That's what these APIs are all about. The BCC Impact you're going to be hearing about today takes those APIs that the Postal Service has developed that have been guided by BCC, by the way. We've been working very closely with them to help them understand how these APIs can be integrated and brought to the market. And that's exactly what we're doing. New tools, new technologies, new opportunities for you to grow your business, for you to show the increased value of the mail piece. And whether that API is getting access to the informed delivery with that digital impression for the phygital effect, now that there's over 82 million people enrolled in informed delivery, you've got access to that. Promotions that help excite and delight the end recipient of the mail piece that increases the response rate. We can measure that. We can show the efficacy of the campaigns. We can begin to really bring people back to fill, as Christopher said earlier, on that hole in your direct marketing campaign. Let's get direct mail in there because nothing else has that power to be able to expand with it. And third, address quality. Address is still really important. We're going to continue to leverage the addressing technology from the Postal Service, whether it be new data sets or new API technology like that NCOA Plus. It's a surgical tool that helps us to heal the patient being the name and address list. Let's fix that. Let's reduce the UAA, but more importantly, let's make every mail piece count and show that demonstrated value as we help our customers get that out into the mail stream. Turn it back to Christopher and Brandon.
Yeah, we're at this time. I just want to draw quick attention real quick. Thank you so much, Adam, for dropping in the 2027 Postal Promotions Calendar in there in the chat. So if you did not catch that, please check that out. At this time, we want to invite anybody who's attending here. We've still got a little bit of time and we'd like to get some of your questions answered. There's a few questions that were pre-submitted ahead of this session that I want to address. And I'm going to go through those really quick. So we were talking about, there was a mention earlier, Chris, regarding the NCOA Plus API announcement. How is that overall, is that impacting our solutions in general from an NCOA standpoint?
Yeah,
if at all?
Yeah, no, so that's a great question. So let me be clear to everyone that's listening and really the entire industry. NCOA Plus is not a replacement to the NCOA Link technology. That's really not the idea. What the Postal Service wants to do is provide a new tool in the tool set for us to be able to mail, BCC Software and maybe a few MSPs if they want to try integrating it. But it's really to surgically fix one address at a time. without the overhead of the path and everything like that to do it. So it gives us a tool to do things like fixed chained moves, right? To validate a proprietary change of address that we looked up to see if that's correct, to be able to sort of query different parts of it. So it's a very important tool that we will be leveraging. And in fact, we've been testing the NCOA Plus API. So I've got some exciting ideas on how we can leverage that, but it's not a replacement to the NCOA Link product. That continues on. The way you're doing address quality today continues, but will be enhanced as we bring this new addressing technology to the market to be used in conjunction with what we're doing now.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that very much. Adam, I'm going to point these couple of questions to you with regard to product roadmap related items, such as the migration from Monticello, Window Book Enterprise, and Mail Manager's Taskmaster.
Yeah, and we touched a little bit on where we are with that transition. Again, the vast majority of our previously Monticello Post Presort customers have been already moved over, and there's just a few remaining because of some of the very much more complex gaps that need to be closed on that product. But again, that roadmap for our Post Presort software is going to be purely focused on the DAT Mail product in terms of mail.dat editing, right? So we're really going to be focusing for the rest of this year on quality of life improvements, on feature functionality improvements, and additional automation improvements that we can be making to the DAT Mail product, make that product a best in class across all the sectors where it's not already solving every single need that it needs to. We will be looking very long term at how to improve that in terms of maintenance and architecture, make it a more maintainable and easy to deliver product. And so that's where we are for that one. For our enterprise version of DAT Mail, we will be looking at really solidifying some of the work there, feature functionality. I don't have the specifics on that roadmap at the moment, but that is something that we will be pulling together for folks that are interested. And then Mail Manager Taskmaster, right? We've not had a lot of time to enhance the Taskmaster just based on the recent cycles. We will be looking for improvements and opportunities that we can to spend more time there, right? We recognize our automation tools are some of the biggest growth possibilities that we have for our customers, and making sure that we have those really covered in terms of what the customer needs to really automate, what you need to do to get closer to lights out, to get to more automation, less touch points, to ensure the quality of your process as well as the repeatability of the process. So hopefully that answers some of those things a little bit at a high level. And then, like I said, I'll try to dive into those. I know some of those folks who have asked these questions. So I'll be touching base with you at Information Exchange in person last night and by email. So
thank you, Adam. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to pass this question over to Victor because it's technical related. How will cloud-based products affect the current BCC network version? Get a little bit in the weeds there. And Dean, if there's some elaboration you could provide, that'd be helpful as well.
Yeah, maybe elaboration would be will allow me to better answer that question.
Yeah, I can speak to it really high level too, right? Like very specifically, we don't have plans to change the network version itself. What we might find as we move more and more into the cloud is that we can implement what makes the network version really good for those folks, and we'll be looking for opportunities where the cloud version of our desktop products will be able to solve those things without the extra overhead that comes with installing that software, with maintaining that software, and training new folks on that software, right? That we're not with the network as a version of Mail Manager as far as it goes right now. We don't have any specific plans to change the network version in response to the cloud, but we will be looking for as many opportunities as we can to put those features out there in the cloud to give people the opportunity to move to that much more up-to-date version, cover all the needs that we can there.
And Adam, there's a follow-up in the chat from Tom.
Sure.
Are there any security risks in using the cloud platform with data as their healthcare mailer?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And I think, Victor, you could probably speak to that more directly. Go for it.
Yeah, I think the way that we're designing the cloud platform is with a complete data separation for all the customers, right? That also includes encryption in transit, using modern standards, encryption at rest. So rest assured your data will be protected. And there are internal conversations on for some of the larger customers on how we can fully isolate the entire infrastructure and deliver it to a single customer as a separate entity. So all those options are being discussed, are in the works.
And we do expect, of course, to continue always to have a premise offer, because there may be some companies that just need to have a premise offer always.
Right.
So there'll always be that option.
Victor, there was a clarification to Dean's original question. We currently use one host computer and 2 clients. One client is used only for submitting mail.dat files. Will each client then access the cloud-based program? That was clarification to his original BCC network version question, or Adam, Victor or Adam for that one.
That'd be
And I guess just to go back to my initial point there is that the network version itself will not be accessing the cloud version. What we will look to do is make sure that we cover everything as best we possibly can in the cloud version of our desktop software. So the Mail Manager network product itself will not be going out to the cloud to do that in any way that's different than today. In the very long term, we'll look for some of those opportunities, though. So you don't have to worry if the network version is what you're imagining today. It won't be changing, but we will look for benefits and improvements. Like Victor said, there's real possibility in the long term that we could deliver an on-premise solution that looks exactly like our cloud version. And if it can solve every customer need, we'll be looking to how best to integrate that into our product solutions. So
excellent. That wraps up our Q&A. And if there's anyone else who has a last minute question, feel free to put it into chat before we wrap up. Real quickly, I appreciate everybody who's stuck with us for the full hour. That's awesome. We really appreciate the time and attentiveness. This series, I wanted to direct your attention to the series ahead of us this week, because there are some sessions that are directly tied to the items that we discussed and presented to you all today. One big one being this afternoon at 2:30 Eastern Time, we have a dedicated BCC Impact presentation hosted by Kate Sanders, our omni-channel product manager. So if that piques your interest, and I think it did based on the poll, definitely come back this afternoon and join us for that session. The other one that I think is directly tied into our topics today is the Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, Unchaining Your Workflow, API-Driven Automation session. That session is unique in that we have Vladimir, one of our engineers, who will be part of that call answering some technical questions. So if the API and the integrations conversation that we had today piqued your interest, be sure to join us then. But there's also quite a few other topics that we're covering this week. So if anything you see here catches your eye, please come back and please join us. Again, these are all going to be transcribed and recorded. So we'll be sending you those recordings and that information at the end of the conference. It looks like there might have been one more Q&A dropped in here. Let me just see real quick before we wrap up. Nope. Dean just said thank you, Adam. All right.
You're very welcome.
Christopher, I'll pass it back to you for for our closing.
Just, hey, listen, we appreciate your trust, your business, and your input as always. Thank you. Looking forward to the journey that we're all on together. And thanks for attending today. See some of you next week live.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Everyone.